It is 5:15 p.m. on a hot July afternoon. You just got home from work, the kids are running around, and the temperature inside your house is starting to creep up. You walk over to your smart thermostat, reach out your hand, and pause. You know that if you leave the air conditioning running right now, you are stepping directly into Xcel Energy's most expensive pricing window of the day. So you ask yourself the question that thousands of Denver homeowners are asking right now. Do I bump the thermostat up 3 degrees and let the house warm up, or do I just pay the penalty? Is saving a few bucks on your electric bill really worth sweating in the very home you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy? It sounds like a minor delay annoyance, but it is actually a symptom of a much larger economic shift happening across the Denver metro area. Over the next year, Denver residents are facing an effective 15% jump in their household utility obligations. And while most people think this is just standard inflation, the reality is it's far more complex. Today, we are breaking down the exact mathematics of Denver's recent utility rate hikes, why the explosive growth of artificial intelligence and industrial data centers is placing on unprecedented strain on our local power grid, and how local cities like Denver and Longmont are fighting back. Most importantly, as a real estate advisor, I am going to show you how rising operational costs directly impact your home's equity and the exact step you can take to structurally insulate your property and your cash flow against perpetually rising rates. Let's start with the actual math behind your monthly bill, because the numbers coming out of the Colorado Public Utility Commission tell a very clear story. When you look at your Xcel Energy bill, or any energy bill, your total cost is driven by two main factors: base rate increases and time of use pricing. Back in late 2025, Xcel Energy filed a massive Phase 1 electrical rate case, known as Proceeding 25 AL 530E. In that filing, Xcel initially requested a net revenue increase of $355.6 million. Had that passed as originally written, the average Denver household would have seen an immediate 9.93% hike on their base electric bill. After significant pushback from consumer advocacy groups like the Colorado Office of the Utility Consumer Advocate, a settlement was reached in June 2026. That settlement scaled the net revenue increase down $224.9 million, resulting in an average residential base rate increase of 5.86%, or roughly $6.13 more per month, taking effect August 2026. Now, $6 a month might not sound like a crisis, but base rates are only half the equation. The real financial force multiplier is time of use pricing, or TOU. By late 2025, Xcel completed its rollout of smart meters across the Front Range, making time of use the default pricing structure for virtually every residential customer. Under TOU, electricity is no longer charged at a flat rate. Instead, power consumed during on-peak hours, which are strictly defined as 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on non-holiday weekends, costs significantly more. During the summer months, off-peak electricity costs about 7.8 cents per kilowatt hour, but during that 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. peak window, the rate jumps to over 21.2 cents per kilowatt hour. That is a 2.7 times multiplier on your power consumption during the exact 4 hours when your family are returning home, cooking dinner, doing laundry, and cooling their house. If a household maintains a standard daily rate without actively shifting their energy consumption, that 2.7 times peak multiplier combined with the new base rate increases easily pushes their effective monthly utility obligation up 15% or more. So why is this happening? Why is our grid under so much strain that utilities are using aggressive pricing structures to force homeowners to dial back their usage? To answer that, you have to look past residential neighborhoods and look at the industrial explosion happening along the Front Range. We're living through an unprecedented boom in artificial intelligence and cloud computing, and AI requires massive amounts of physical infrastructure. There's a fundamental thermodynamic difference between a standard commercial office building and a modern hyperscale data center. A commercial office building uses power for lighting, computers, and basic air conditioning during normal business hours. A data center, on the other hand, is essentially a massive, hyper-dense industrial warehouse filled with high-performance graphics processing units. They run at a maximum capacity 24/7. 365. A single data center can draw 10 to 50 times more power per square foot than the traditional commercial building. In its long-term research planning, Xcel Energy projected that large load customer facilities requiring 50 megawatts or more capacity will account for 2/3 of all new electricity demand in their Colorado service territory over the next 5 years. To meet that projected demand, Xcel estimated it would need to add at least 950 megawatts of new generation capacity solely for these individual facilities. Here in the Denver metro area, this national trend hit close to home in zip code 80216 in the historic Globeville and Elyria-Swansea neighborhood. A massive data center project known as CoreSite DE3 began development under standard industrial zoning. The initial 170,000 square foot facility was designed to draw up to 18 megawatts of continuous power. To keep those servers from overheating, the facility was projected to consume up to 230,000 gallons of water per day. To put that in perspective, the average industrial consumer in Denver uses about 4.4 million gallons of water a year. CoreSite DE3's projected water consumption was roughly 20 times that amount. On top of that, the plans included 14 massive industrial diesel backup generators to ensure 100% uptime. This highlights the primary concern for Denver ratepayers: the risk of cross-subsidization under traditional utility rate making. When a monopoly utility builds billions of dollars in a new power plant, transmission lines, and substations, those capital costs are added to its base rate. The utility then earns a guaranteed rate of return on investment, which is recovered from all ratepayers, residential, commercial, and industrial alike. If utilities build out massive infrastructure to serve speculative tech developments, and those data center operators eventually relocate or shift their computing loads elsewhere, residential ratepayers could be left paying off of those empty multi-million-dollar assets for decades. Consumer watchdogs warned that if traditional cost allocation models were applied to this data center boom, residential electricity bills could face medium-term rate increases of 30 to 50%. That risk triggered a major regulatory legislative response across Colorado in 2026. At the state level, the Public Utilities Commission initiated proceedings for a new large load tariff known as Schedule TL. This tariff is designed as a regulatory firewall forcing data centers to pay upfront for their grid upgrades, sign binding 15-year power contracts, and pay substantial exit fees if they leave, effectively protecting homeowners from stranding those capital costs. At the municipal level, local communities took immediate action. On May 18, 2026, the Denver City Council unanimously passed a one-year moratorium on all new data center developments citywide. Supported by Mayor Mike Johnson, this pause gives the city 12 months to update its zoning codes and establish strict environmental standards around energy use, water consumption, and noise. Jefferson County enacted a similar pause, while the city of Longmont proactively capped new data center developments at 100 megawatts to protect the municipal utility rates. While these municipal pauses and regulatory tariffs provide crucial high-level protection, they do not change the immediate reality on your monthly utility statement. As a homeowner, an escalating utility bill acts as a perpetual operational liability against your property. In real estate economics, when the fixed cost of owning and operating a home goes up, it directly eats into a buyer's purchasing power and compresses overall cash flow. So, how do we defend your home equity and keep your environment comfortable without overpaying? First, let's address the short-term behavioral strategy. You do not need to let your family sweat through dinner to avoid peak charges. By utilizing technological automation, you can execute what is known as time of use arbitrage. If you have a smart thermostat, you can schedule your system to supercool your home during the off-peak hours prior to 5 p.m., when the power is roughly 7.8 cents per kilowatt hour. Once 5 p.m. hits, you allow the temperature to drift upward naturally without running the air conditioning compressor during those expensive peak hours. You can apply the same principle by setting EV chargers, dishwashers, and pool pumps to run automatically after 9 p.m. Second, look at the structural capital efficiency. In 2026, Colorado expanded its home efficiency rebate program, known as the HER program. These state and federal incentives stack directly with local utility rebates, making it significantly more affordable to upgrade legacy HVAC systems to high-efficiency cold climate heat pumps. These systems deliver up to 3 times more thermal energy than the electricity they consume, drastically lowering your total kilowatt hour usage and reducing your exposure to both electric and natural gas rate hikes. Finally, considering capitalizing your energy production through residential solar and battery storage. When you look at utility rate increases over 10 to 20 year horizons, solar is no longer just an environmental choice. It is a financial tool to fix your long-term energy costs. By pairing rooftop solar with a home battery system, your battery charges during off-peak hours or from daytime solar generation and then powers your home from 5 to 9 p.m. This severs your reliance on the grid during the most expensive hours of the day, turning a rising operational variable into a predictable amortized asset. At the end of the day, managing your primary residence isn't just about paying attention to mortgage rates or local property tax assessment. It's understanding the total operational costs of holding the asset. While you cannot control global technology trends or utility rate filings, you can take strategic steps to protect your household budget and insulate your home's equity. Be careful with the long-term solar agreements, leases, those things. If you have any questions about that, please reach out. If you want to see how these localized cost shifts, utility rate hikes, and regional infrastructure developments are impacting your specific property value and home today, click the link in the description below to get a quick market auto evaluation. It takes less than 2 minutes, gives you a clear snapshot of your equity position, and helps you make informed decisions about your home. I will reach out and then we can have a conversation of your specific area and how that looks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.